Welcome back to the deep dive. So you've sent over some really interesting stuff from FinCrime Intelligence, focusing specifically on suspicious activity.
Yeah, it's a core topic.
It really is. And our mission today, well, it's to basically pull out the key insights, right? What is suspicious activity in finance, and, why does it matter so much?
Exactly. These sources give a tight focus on it.
Okay, great. Let's get right into it then.
Absolutely. So, at its core, suspicious activity, like this FinCrime intelligence piece explains it. It's really about any behavior or a transaction, maybe even just something happening that makes you pause and think, hang on, something's not quite right here.
Right, a gut feeling almost, but in a professional context.
Kind of, yeah.
Right.
Especially when it could point to, illegal stuff. Money laundering, various types of fraud, things like that.
Okay.
And what's key here is that financial institutions, they aren't just like encouraged to spot this. They actually have a real duty, a responsibility to actively monitor for it and then report it.
So they're on the front lines.
They really are. The first line of defense, you could say.
And the briefing, it gives some concrete examples, right? These sort of red flags.
It does.
We're talking things like transactions that just seem way off compared to what you normally expect from a particular customer.
Exactly. Maybe a huge sum of money suddenly lands in an account or vanishes. Completely out of character.
Or lots of transfers going to places known for being high risk.
Yes, frequent transfers involving high-risk jurisdictions, that's another big one. It really paints a picture of needing constant vigilance for, well, the unexpected.
Makes sense.
And those are just a couple. The briefing also mentions efforts to deliberately hide where money comes from or where it's going.
How do they do that?
Well, it could be through really complex transaction paths, trying to muddy the waters, or using shell companies.
Oh, the classic shell company, just a name on paper.
Pretty much. Entities that look legit but don't really do anything, all designed to hide who the real owner is, the beneficial owner. And then there's the human element, too. If a customer suddenly gets cagey or, refuses to provide standard ID or information they should.
That itself is a flag.
It can be, yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely warrants a closer look from the institution.
So it's more than just noticing weird things. There are actual rules, regulations making this mandatory.
Like, absolutely. This is an optional caution. It's legally required.
Okay.
If you zoom out a bit, looking for suspicious activity is like a fundamental piece of AML programs, anti-money laundering, and CTF, counter-terrorist financing.
Right, AML and CTF. We hear those acronyms a lot.
You do, and it's the law. So when someone at a bank, for example, sees something concerning, there's usually an internal process to escalate it.
That can lead to?
It can lead to them filing a SAR, a suspicious activity report, with the relevant government agency.
A SAR. Okay.
Which brings up a crucial point. What if they don't do this?
Well,
Or don't do it well?
yeah, what are the consequences? The briefing mentioned those too, didn't it?
It did. If institutions drop the ball on spotting and reporting this stuff, they can face, well, serious trouble.
Like fines.
Big fines, yeah. Regulatory sanctions. Also, major damage to their reputation. Losing public trust is huge.
And I guess it makes them more vulnerable to being exploited by criminals too.
Exactly. Increased exposure to financial crime. It's definitely high stakes.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
So given the sheer volume of transactions, happening every second, how do they even manage? Technology must play a huge role.
It's essential, absolutely. The briefing talks about automated transaction monitoring systems.
Software basically scanning everything.
Yeah, sifting through vast amounts of data, looking for anomalies based on certain preset rules or thresholds. But it's going beyond just simple rules now.
Ah, okay. This is where it gets really interesting, right? AI.
Definitely. Artificial intelligence is coming into play. The briefing mentions AI tools, behavioral analytics.
What's that exactly? Behavioral analytics.
Well, it's about understanding a customer's typical financial behavior, their patterns, and then spotting significant deviations from that norm. Things that just don't fit.
Okay. Like a sudden change in activity.
Precisely. And machine learning, too. Systems that can actually learn from historical data get better at spotting new, evolving types of suspicious activity that old rules might miss entirely.
And assessing risk in real time. That sounds potentially huge.
It could be a game changer, yeah. Helping to cut through the noise, focus investigations on the truly high-risk stuff.
But no, it's not perfect, right? Technology isn't a magic bullet.
No, definitely not. And the briefing makes that clear. There are ongoing challenges. A big one is that criminals are constantly adapting, always changing their methods.
Trying to stay one step ahead.
Always. And they get smarter about blending illicit funds with legitimate flows, trying to make it all look normal.
Which makes total sense, you know? You
Huh.
wouldn't want your dodgy dealings to scream illegal. You'd try to blend in.
Exactly. And the briefing points out a danger here, relying too heavily on rigid, rule-based systems.
What's the problem there?
You can generate a massive number of false positives. Legitimate transactions get flagged constantly.
Wasting time and resources.
Right. And ironically, while you're chasing down false alarms, you might actually miss the real, sophisticated threats.
So what's the answer then?
Well, the briefing emphasizes what's called a risk-based approach. Focus your energy and resources on the areas with the highest potential risk.
Makes sense. Prioritize.
And constantly update those monitoring rules and systems to keep pace with the criminals. Plus, and this is crucial, you can't forget the human element.
People are still key.
Absolutely. Well-trained analysts who understand the nuances, who can spot subtle indicators that a machine might miss, they are indispensable. Technology is a tool, a powerful one, but it's often the combination of tech and human expertise that works best.
Okay, so stepping back then, looking at the big picture, why is all this monitoring, this whole system, just so fundamentally important? It sounds like a massive effort.
It is a massive effort, but it's critical because, as the briefing concludes, keeping this watch for suspicious activity, it's a cornerstone in the wider fight against all sorts of financial crime.
Not just money laundering.
Not just that, fraud, corruption, even terrorist financing. It acts as an early warning system.
Like seeing smoke signals.
Exactly. It gives institutions and law enforcement a chance to intervene, to disrupt illicit activities before they snowball and cause huge damage.
So it's really about protecting the integrity, the stability of the whole financial system, isn't it? Globally.
Precisely.
Yeah.
By having robust systems, fostering a culture of compliance where following the rules is just ingrained and ensuring effective reporting mechanisms are in place, well, these institutions play a vital role.
Keeping the financial world safer, essentially.
That's the goal. And bringing it back to you, the listener who wants to get up to speed quickly, understanding these indicators, the processes, the tech, it really does give you a kind of shortcut.
A shortcut to understanding a key part of financial security.
Exactly. You start to see the layers of sophistication, right? Both from the criminal side and the detection side. Hopefully there were a few aha moments in there for you, seeing the complexity.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
So I guess the main takeaway here is vigilance and strong systems are just non-negotiable in spotting and fighting suspicious financial activity.
That sums it up perfectly. They're essential for protecting the financial system as we know it.
Right.
And, it leaves us with a final thought to maybe chew on. As financial crime gets more complex, often leveraging technology itself, how do we find the right balance
Oh, that's a good one.
between relying on ever smarter technology for detection and the, well, irreplaceable value of human insight and judgment? It's a dynamic challenge and a really crucial one going forward.